Today I'll be showing you how speedrunners completely break the Henry Stickmin Collection with parallel universes. How this game works is it has multiple points where you need to pick an option from a few different ones, and those options can either lead to a fail and then you redo that part, or take you further down a path towards an ending. But between these choices, there are long sections where you pretty much just need to watch cutscenes play out because there isn't a way to speed them up. But by utilizing parallel universes, we can effectively do 2 or more endings at the same time. So for this video, I'll be talking about the all ending speedrun and how this trick saves about 15 minutes off the run. Now for the first episode, Breaking the Bank, there's only a single ending where you get into a bag, get put into a bank, and then get caught after leaving the bag. But once we're on to escaping the prison, it gets interesting. See, for most levels in this game, you have a play button and a skip intro button. But if we press the play button and then immediately press skip intro afterwards, it'll start 2 different universes. For the first one, you have a short amount of time to do something, like choosing the cell phone here, before you leave that universe and see the beginning cutscenes for the level. But even though we can no longer see the first universe, its cutscenes are still playing in the background, while we can actively choose different options for our current one. Now in escaping the prison, we want to start out with not just 1 parallel universe, but 5. First we're going to get the cell phone, then we'll go back and get the drill, which is another ending we have to do, and after that we're going to do 3 different energy drinks. Now energy drinks don't actually get you an ending, but they will get us a death. Basically Henry consumes an energy drink, everything else in the world gets really slow for him before he dies because it was way too much caffeine. But it also gives us the perfect amount of time to do everything else we need. So you'll see that's going to be my 3rd energy drink. Now we can skip, and for our current universe we're going to go with the file. We can use this on our cell door. Meanwhile with the subtitles you can see that everything with the lowercase is currently happening. Then we'll get to this point where we have our pole. First we're going to want to hit that police officer to the left, and then there's also going to be one to the right. Henry just completely takes them out, but he sees that more people are coming through the elevator, so we can just escape up this ladder before they're able to see us. Now we have to quickly decide what we want to do. We're going to choose this chair, and then right away we want to go to the right. It has to be fast because we're going to get our first energy drink fail after that. And with that, we can then use the map to go over to the lowercase and present the disguising bag before we get another fail. After that, we'll head to the rooftop and we'll use these plungers before our 3rd fail, and this means we can do the trick again and get another energy drink. At this point, both of our other 2 endings are currently happening in parallel universes, so all we have to worry about is this one where we're gonna bust out. We use this crowbar, that way we get through this vent, but then there's gonna be a couple cops that see us, so we gotta run away. And this is pretty much just what you would normally do without the parallel universes that we finish out, so we dodge their bullets, do a cool 360 off this wall to completely dodge this guy with the shotgun, and then get in this standoff with the last police officer where we're basically just spamming click right now because as soon as we're able to, we want to dodge, and then we're going to die to an energy drink, which means we will get the badass bust out ending while we're doing stealing the diamond. So onto our speedrun strats. We'll create one universe where we bust in, and then for our current universe we're just going to sneak in. Now we can use the pick as soon as possible to break in, but then after a bit, we'll automatically transfer back to the Bustin' universe. This happens a lot in this game for certain choices, so instead of having to death warp, sometimes we just have to time things right. We will choose to kick the police officer there though, that way we can then map back to this, and we can keep mousing over the shrink ray, which is going to skip a ton of the dialogue as you can see by the subtitles. Then we can time that perfectly to where we're going to use this plane, scare a couple of the police officers, and then go into this retro room. Basically, we're setting up another fail that happens right there. That way we can use another trick. We're going to do a bust-in again before going over to the map and going to the middle where we're going to use the teleporter, which puts us at the top of the roof. Now at this point we can then use this mushroom, which makes us a gigantic monster, before going back to a bust-in universe, and this time we're actually going to ram through. Then right after that it transfers us yet again over to the roof, where I like to wait to use the penny until we hear the word over. It's really important to get your timing right in these episodes since you're switching between universes so much. And as soon as we click the penny, then we're going to go back to the scooter universe where we can use the shield to dodge some bullets. Now back on the roof universe, we're going to want to use the wormhole rifle, which is going to give us a fail in a little bit. And then we're back to the Bustin' universe where we're going to use the tow cable to bring the diamond with us. Before then, finally, our wormhole rifle is going to come in, give us the fail for that, and then we can retry back to above the diamond. So from here, we're going to use the cable to go down, and then of course the hammer to break the glass. Now this will show us the guards for just a second before we get back to to the Bustin universe and we see the cops are coming after us, I basically just want to keep my mouse over this guy's gun. That way we can throw the rock at him, get him down, and then the helicopter, of course, is going to come. But there isn't actually going to be enough time to deal with this helicopter, so we are going to die to it. Instead, we get put into the giant robot universe where we want to use the gear. Right after that, we'll get the death from getting shot. Then we're going to do another bust-in before going over to our map, going to the right where the helicopter is going to be, and this time we'll have enough time to use our bubble. That way, all the bullets are going to get reflected off of us. But this puts us back in bust-in. This time, we're going to do another kick. That way, we're going to die. And yeah, I know this is such a complicated thing. But after that, we're back to the sneak-in universe where we can use the plank to go over the guards before getting put back in the bust-in universe, this time going down to the river, and finally going back to the sneak-in universe one more time where we can throw this diamond at this guard, and that is going to give us all 3 endings at pretty much the exact same time. All we have to do is wait out a couple cutscenes and we'll get them done. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, it would really help me with the YouTube algorithm if you'd subscribe. So back to the speed run, and this episode might be the hardest part of the entire run. So first of all, we're going to select this cannonball. That's going to be our first parallel universe. Then we're going to go into a second one. That's going to be the earpiece. And you can see in this one, it actually gives you a pretty good amount of time before it puts you in the beginning cutscene. So we'll be able to use that to our advantage in just a little bit. For now though, our current universe is the one where we use the grapple hook to get over to the side of the building. Then we can wait out here until this guy finally comes out with his coffee and sneak in. Right away, we want to go over to this pipe after Henry thinks for a while. It actually takes him way too long. But of course, this is going to mean that he's going to see the ruby. And yeah, so far, not too much interesting stuff is happening. But right after this, here's where it's going to get crazy. So crazy, in fact, that this is going to be the only episode where I'm going to cut between a few attempts. Because what you need to do in this episode is do the parallel universe trick, but then you need to go to the map, go to the correct location, and press the correct option, all in a very short amount of time. The world record is able to do this perfectly in one go, which I'll leave in the description. I really recommend checking it out after this video, but for me, it's a little too hard. And don't worry if you missed it the first time we did this trick, because we have to do it many more times. So anyways, we're going to be focusing on stealing the ruby for this first section. We're going to see the ruby. Of course, Henry is going to want to take out his shrink and go, but we have to do the trick again. So I'm going to try to time it perfectly, and I actually got it first try that time, which I was very impressed with. And the reason we want to do that here is then we can mouse over the cannonball and press the map. That way we skip a bunch of the dialogue and go through that faster. Now we want to do pretty much the exact same thing, but this time with the armor. It is just always so hard to do because it's such a short amount of time to do it, but if you want to go as fast as possible, it's what you need to do. This cannonball trick, skipping all the dialogue and stuff like that, just saves so much time, and we're able to make it over to this prototype section, where of course we're going to do the same thing, and finally that's going to be our first ending done. But we're not anywhere close to done with the hard tricks, because now we're going to do this trick for the middle path. That way we can select the chair, and after we finally get the skip intro thing, we can go over to the top universe where I want to select the vacuum. But I'm going to wait here until I hear everybody listen up, because like with the last episode, we want to time these very specifically. So after a bit of vacuuming up some guys, it's going to transfer us back to the cannonball universe, where of course this time around we're going to want to eject, but wait a little bit again. That way we time it perfectly. We get put into the beans section. We see this guy just running away, of course closing all the doors, and with the beans again, we want to wait just a tiny bit, make sure that we keep our timing good. Now as soon as we start doing that, it's going to put us back into the sneak-in universe. This time we're going to want to use some glue. That way we can get over all the executives, and we see the leader of the Top Hats trying to open his door. Of course with this one, we're going to go with the rocket jump. I love how the security guard is just watching us with like a shocked look on his face. But anyways, we can make it through that door before we get stopped by the right-hand man. But we won't have enough time to battle him just yet, because we get put back in the earpiece universe, where Charles is going to want us to get over to the records room. He just keeps talking for a while. At least we can all appreciate how amazing Charles is in this game. Honestly, might be the best character. But anyways, at this point, we're not even going to set up a parallel universe. Instead, we're just going to go back to this yo-yo battle that we have with the right-hand man. And yeah, we'll just beat him like usual. But once we see the glider section, we're going to want to go back to the menu, do the trick again, go to the top universe, and with just barely enough time, I was able to select the Robo Helper in time. That was way too close for comfort, but anyways, we can go back to this one, we can use the glider, and then we can see the dude who is having a lot of trouble opening this door. But of course, we could just do our bone melting powers on him. There he goes, easiest thing of my life, and we can actually go through the door ourselves. Now, once we're in the records room, we'll see the guy who's just sitting here. Of course, we're gonna do the spooking with the spider, and after a tiny bit later, we're gonna have the leader captured, and we can choose between helping him or helping the government. Both of these will require the really hard map trick, but they are important and able to go as fast as possible. So first, we'll become the leader of the top hats, and then we'll do the government one where we go over there and choose the tank. That way we give him to the government and we get our pardon. Now we have some normal gameplay where we tell Charles to reroute the power before we open the door, and now we have to do one last map trick. So for this one, we're gonna create a parallel universe, go to the top, and get to the force gun all within a very small amount of time, and that's all the endings done. Now we're on to fleeing the complex. So again, it's speedrun time, and for this one, we're gonna wanna create two parallel universes. The first one's going to be a boost up one, and the second one is gonna be a charge tackle. Then for our current universe, we're gonna make it wait for transfer before getting put back into the charge tackle universe, where we're gonna wanna do some acrobatics. That way we can dodge these gunshots. After a bit, we're then put in the wait for transfer universe, where we can use the laser plane. That's gonna destroy the ground below us before then being put back in the charge tackle universe. This time, we're gonna use the item. That's gonna make us become a boo, but now we have a chance to either call the top hats or the government. I'm gonna wait a second before I actually call the top hats, and then we have a long conversation with them. After watching a bit of a cutscene though, we then see that they're here, but before we can do anything with the top hats, we'll get put into this universe where we're on the streets, we deal with Karlov, and then we actually just want to kind of wait here before we use the drill pod. We're waiting until we hear the word "I." That way we can make sure our universe shifting is timed well. So after the top hats attack the cafeteria for a little bit, we get put back here where we can get this truck completely run over a man, but unfortunately we don't get to see that, because then we get put back towards the top hats where we want to use our sick ride, and then go back to the truck ending where this time we're just gonna want to die. Yeah, not even close, buddy. But that means the betrayed is going to be done, and now we're going to want to set up a play dead. Play dead is going to kill us after a certain amount of time, so that's perfect for this ending where we go back to the truck and we're going to slam right here. Now we just have to wait a tiny bit, and if you remember when I was explaining this, there's actually no more inputs we have to do for this ending. So the plan is to get a fail from playing dead, and then we can just let the rest of this ending play out in a parallel universe. Next up, we'll set up a wait for transfer parallel universe and then go to our map up to the maintenance vent. For the first one, we're actually going to take Ellie with us, but then we're going to get put over to our transfer cell, and from here, it's time for another parallel universe. This time, we're doing a play dead again. Then in our current universe, we're going to go back to the maintenance vent, this time leaving behind Ellie. So we have one universe where we're going in alone, and one universe where we're going with Ellie. So now we have two guards talking about video games. I wish I was allowed in their conversation, but anyways, we're going to have just enough time to be able to use this whoopee cushion before we get the fail from playing dead. Then we're going to want to do this trick again, do a wait for transfer again, and go back into our map, this time going over to Ellie. That way we can do a synchronized takedown. After that, we'll be put into our transfer cell where we can go to the map again. This time, instead of doing the top hat ending, we're gonna go with the government, so we're able to call Charles just in time. Now it does put us at the Ellie ending for a second, but we don't have enough time to do anything with that. So we'll go back to the alone one and we'll do a power jump up here so we can make it over to the elevator. Now, like the top hats, Charles just talks for a very long time. So while he's doing that, we can use the balloon and then also use some helium to cross this gap. Then soon after, we get put back into the Charles universe where we're trying to make it through the cafeteria. Of course, someone's gonna spot us, but we got our flash abilities to completely juke this guy out. It's not even a problem. Now it's time for some more perfectly timed actions where we get put back into this universe where we're at the docks. We're gonna use the leaf after waiting just a tiny bit of time. That way he can fly over those guards, and then we can get put back towards by Charles where we're gonna see a guy on these stairs, and we can use the mini helicopter to drag him off. Now we'll finish the ghost inmate ending by going into this dinghy. The guards are none the wiser, they just think we're one of their co-workers, and after waiting a bit, it's gonna put us back into the Charles universe, but we're not gonna do anything with this just yet. We're gonna go back into the menu, we're gonna make a parallel universe that's going to be a wait for transfer one, skip that cutscene, go back into the map, and go out with Ellie. She's gonna use the force on us, that way we can get up there before we get put back into our transfer cell, and we'll use the map to go over to the Charles universe where we kick this guy, Charles smushes the other, And that's going to be our 4th ending done. Now, after waiting for just a little bit longer, we're put back in the Ellie universe, and we just have to finish this up. There's not any more tricks, we just use the sniper rifle and taser, then we can toss the caps in order to distract these guards. We'll make a face, that way we can distract the warden, and of course he'll get hit by a car, and then we'll choose the motorcycle, get pinned down, Ellie will save us, and that's going to be 5 out of 5 done. Now for this speedrun, there's still one more episode, and it's the longest one, but unfortunately, this episode doesn't have a skip intro button, so we can't do our parallel universe trick. Still, even without this episode, this trick saves a crazy amount of time, since the world record for no parallel universes gets to this point at 29:25, but with parallel universes, it saves about 15 minutes with a time of 15:03. But alright, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.